on his one and only flying lap. So 12 laps, so they're going to tick off pretty quickly here, I reckon.
Yeah, very fast laps around here, lots of slipstreaming action to come. So it isn't just about pure performance, it's about strategy and positioning your car in the right place at the right time. Almost, you kind of don't want to be Sasaki because you're right at the front of the field, you're giving the toe to everyone else. And I pretty much guarantee that he will not be leading the race going down into the first chicane. But Guy Barber there getting ready. He's got a lot of work to do, Guy Barber, after that spin in qualifying. But we know he's quick, we know he's punchy. He's going to need to unleash all of that here to move forward in today's sprint race.
Yeah, and it's all about being smart, isn't it, as well? You've got to, it's all well having the pace, but you've got to make sure you use it at the right time. And, you know, making sure that you use brains over brawn really is the important factor here. So let's see what will happen then. We're ready to go for the sprint race of the Gran Turismo Nations Cup for the World Series here in Berlin. Takuma Sasaki is going to lead the field towards the timing line. And who will be claiming the checkered flag of the all-important pole position when we go racing then? So Sasaki leads them into the green flag as we go with Laboutelet and Drumont for company behind. So through in towards what would have been the first chicane, the first braking zone, but now we head into an acceleration zone and we blast in towards the Curva Grande for the first time. And look at the slipstream already coming into effect here for the drivers behind. Sasaki, of course, is punching that hole in the air in front for the drivers, and Laboutelet is trying to take profit of it. He's having a look on the inside into the Della Roggia, no way through for there. It closes up quite a lot in the sort of first half of that, but nobody making a dive bomb to the inside.
Yeah, a couple of position changes, but not many. Gallo up to P10, Kai de Bruyne up to P6, Drumont now, as we watch him go through the Lesmos. Exit out of here is super important now, up towards the Ascari complex. And is that someone sideways in the background? Probably. These things have over 700 horsepower delivered to those rear wheels. No TC, of course, back in the 80s, just how it should be as we come through Ascari. Now Laboutelet is falling off the back of Sasaki a little bit, really strong through the middle was Sasaki, but of course he's only 6 tenths ahead, which means he's going to be drawn back in using the slipstream. On board now with Adriano Carranza, a veteran to these events. He's having a look over his shoulder there. Will he go for a move here? Will he stay where he is? Stays there for now. I mean, it's a long race this, so a lot of time to make his moves.
It ends up being a bit of a slipstreaming train, this, doesn't it, here, really? And it's a case of who's going to be able to take advantage of it. A bit sausage curve there on the outside. You can see Adriano Carranza, most experienced driver, also the oldest driver in the Gran Turismo World Series. I mean that's to no discredit to him at all. 36 years of age, and hopefully we'll be able to use that wise head of his to good use. Let's see what happens as we come down towards the first corner for the first time at Racing Spree. Well, Paul Ura is taking advantage. We're 3 abreast in the background there as well. Ura and Carranza side by side through the Curva Grande. Carranza's going to have the inside line here, and it might open the door here for Kai de Bruyne, who sends it to the inside into the Della Roggia. Can he get 2 for the price of 1? He can. Kai de Bruyne, you buy 1 there and you get 1 free, but he's on the outside. He's onto the curb, onto the rough stuff. Ura's there still, ready to pick his pocket, but nothing doing there for him. Kai de Bruyne muscles his way up and into 4th place.
What a bit of opportunistic driving there from Kai de Bruyne. 2nd to 4th in 1 move. Fantastic. We're used to seeing stuff like this from him. He's not afraid to make the big move, is Kai de Bruyne. But now, of course, having had that little squabble, that's let that top 3 move away slightly. So now maybe they need to think about working together a little bit to reel them back in again. Jose Serrano, your winner last time out in London in P7 right now, dropping a place from his starting position and maybe just not quite looking as aggressive as he needs to be so far. Maybe just thinking about things. Now he's looking for a move on Carranza. They're going to be side by side down to the Parabolica. Serrano later with the brakes. Up into P6 he goes. Carranza there tries the cutback, runs into the back of Serrano. Luckily, no spin there.
It might also allow an opportunity for Gallo to attack as well. So this is Carranza versus Ura side by side. But look at Kai de Bruyne using the double slipstream to great effect to the inside of Carranza, to the inside of Ura, over the curb, bit of contact in the mid part of it, but somehow just about keeps it on the straight and narrow on the curb there, as well as Laboutelet has now switched places with Sasaki for the race lead. We come through the Curva Grande, and is Sasaki going to repay the favour on the Frenchman as we head in towards the Della Roggia? Nothing doing there for him, but if they start squabbling, that's going to bring the likes of De Bruyne, Ura, Serrano, all who are close behind, right back into play, and it might present a door opening here for Kylian Drumont, who's just keeping his powder dry for now.
The thing is, it is super tempting to make that move back again. You think, yeah, you know what, this is overtaken, how dare they? I'm going to take that place back and give my position back. But if you do that, you end up having this little fight, unnecessary fight, and you're not on the racing line, you're not taking the best line around the circuit. It means people behind you gain and people in front of you pull away. So it's good just to win your move sometimes. Go there, clocking the fastest lap. Here is the overtake. Not too dramatic, just using the slipstream. Through goes Abutale.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because Labuschagne didn't manage to make that move before he crossed the timing line there as well. So that's something to note, especially as we come on to the final stages. Of this race. So if you're in the slipstream, depending on how close you are coming out that final corner, getting past before you take the checkered flag may not be a possibility. Now, what can Kylian Drumont do? Sits there in third place. Look at it behind as well. Euro versus De Bruyne. They're now side by side down the start finish straight. Euro's got the outside line, which of course will switch to the inside line when we come through into the braking zone. I don't think he's going to need to really wait until we go into the Della Roggia because he's got so much momentum through the curve of Grande and chops the nose off of Kind of Bruno, who has no opportunity but to get out of the throttle. Serrano's there ready to try and pounce here as well. Can the two Spaniards work together? What about Gallo and Carrazza there in the background as well? So Euro's now through into fourth, De Bruyne down into fifth, Serrano into sixth, Gallo in seventh and Carrazza in eighth. But Euro's picked up a small penalty there, presumably for track limits, and that is going to drop him back and compromise him quite hugely because look at how many cars are line astern behind him.
Yes, it's a 1 second penalty, and the way that's applied, when you get to the penalty line, the car basically goes full on the brakes. The car goes, so people behind you don't go flying into the back of you, because that would be a bit problematic. But it's more than a second, especially around here when it's such a high-speed course. I mean, here we go. The bar will fill up when we get to the line. The brakes will be applied, and you'll see for yourself just how devastating even a 1 second penalty is in these races. Here we go.
Yep, so moves off the racing line there, does Paul Ura, and the rest of the field is just going to come streaming through, and his heart is going to drop to his boots, unfortunately, and his position will as well, down to 9th place there for Paul Ura. Sasaki back in front of Labuschagne, meanwhile at the sharp end of this one, and making a break in this race is going to be particularly difficult. As we said, no points on offer, just to remind you. This is all to the side of the grid for the grand final, but of course if you've got that clear view down towards the first corner in what is going to be a particularly long grand final race, it will just give you that little bit more confidence. But Labuschagne there is ready to pick his pocket and does so through the curve of Grande. The Frenchman now back in front once more.
Yeah, we'll see a bit of this now until the last few laps. Just trying to position your car in the right place at the right time. And you might think, oh, why do they keep overtaking each other? It's because they get something called a slipstream or a draft, where if you drive behind the car in front of you, you don't face that same air resistance that they do. And you're able just to go faster, basically. You're able just to accelerate a bit quicker. Oh, Gallo, Miyazono. We've not mentioned Miyazono at all in this race, have we? Miyazono started in P8, up to P7 now, and slowly starting to make his way through the grid. But, yeah, a little bit anonymous in this one to give him Miyazono.
A bit anonymous so far in the Nations Cup at all, really. He's only had 1 point after, of course, only 1 round in the championship. But, yeah, it hasn't particularly been anything to write home about. I mean that with the greatest of respect, given the performances that we've seen from him, especially in the Manufacturers' Cup over the years as well, and also here in the Nations Cup as well. So let's hope that this is the weekend where we start seeing Takuma Miyazono's real pace shining through. He's now side by side here with Adriano Carrazza. He's got the overspeed, he's got the inside line, and he's back through and into 6th place with a lovely move on the brakes there.
Yeah, decisive on the brakes there, but again, you have to think maybe slowing up the cars behind him. The gap between him and Serrano, 1.3 seconds, is outside the drafting range, and he has 3 cars behind him. Carrazza, Ura and Gallo, all incredibly fast people, just all thinking that I need to be first, I need to be leading this train. It's difficult sometimes to manage that ego.
Oh, look at this. Drumont is ready to try and pounce here on Sasaki. He's got great straight line speed, but just had to get out the throttle there through the curve of Grande, didn't he? Just trying to find his way through on the outside. The problem is, of course, that corner then becomes a bit of a tighter radius, and you can't make it through with the same amount of speed that you would have been carrying would you have been on the normal racing line. The upshot is that Drumont not able to make an overtaking attempt. Serrano's got a 1 second penalty there as well. That'll be down to track limits, so Serrano is going to face the same bother as his compatriot, who's managed to recover to 6th place after dropping down to 9th for the same discretion earlier on.
Now, notice Kind of Bruno's got a really, really effective line through the chicane, through that Della Roggia chicane there, just because he seems to know exactly where the track limits are. Serrano tried to follow him, slightly outside of that, bam. Track limit penalty. You can see because the gap comes down by about half a second every time you go through there. Maybe this will be enough for De Bruyne to get to the back, but he's doing it without help, so it's hard for 4th place to catch up to 3rd.
On board board here then with Dumont. On the brakes we go, in towards the Parabolica. Serrano then serves that penalty, drops one place behind Pole Euro, but that's actually pretty good damage limitation given that penalty. He'll have just darted straight back into the slipstream as soon as he possibly could with Euro, and the upshot is he doesn't lose too much time as a result of that. Guy Barber was given a warning, by the way, for bunt drafting, who hasn't particularly made much of an impression on this race down in 12th position. Likewise, Angela Stroza having something of a quiet one as well down in P10. On board here we are with Dumont. Look at the overspeed he's got there with Sasaki as they come through this fast right-hander, and Sasaki's going to try and defend the line here. Is Dumont going to think about it to the inside? Kind of has a look, but the door's not really ajar there. But De Bruyne, I tell you what, it was a three-way fight a lap or so ago. It's now become a proper four-way tussle.
De Bruyne's got pace, he's fast. Here's Karatsa and Miyazono, another pass Euro as well in the background. Like, you're going to make it 3 wide, is he? Yeah, why not? Let's go 3 wide. Who's that in the background? Is that Gallo? Should I make it 4 wide? Yeah, let's try and make it 4 wide. Gallo in there as well. Freight trading, Portakio and Miyazono, just a passenger there. Euro and Gallo taking P6 and 7 respectively. Karatsa up to 8th.
Well, Miyazono would have thought he'd left the handbrake on, given the fact that he was to go backwards at such a vast rate of knots, with 3 cars driving past him in the space of a couple of 100 metres. On board here then, with Kai De Bruyne, who sniffs an opportunity in his first podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Let's see if this is the result that will be coming his way. You can see the pace that he's got and the ascension that he's made through the field, up 3 places from where he started. Likewise, also Valerio Gallo's had a good run of things. He's up 5 places from where he started to P6. And you just get the sense that Kai De Bruyne just keeping his powder dry, waiting for the right opportunity, and he's going to be there, ready when it matters.
I've always thought Kai De Bruyne has what it takes to win one of his events. He's a really fast guy, but he's just not quite had the complete package. Just up ahead, Sasaki and Dumont have a little bit of side-to-side contact. But as you say, Thomas, lap 8. Right now, making a lunge of your life isn't really going to mean anything. It's just going to show your hand. So just do this, get close, be close enough to strike. That's all you've got to do, and then figure it all out on that last lap.
I love the detail on those onboard driver POV shots. You can see the turbo boost gauge going up and down like a fiddler's elbow, and the drivers soaring away at the wheel as they make their way through this legendary circuit. It is just a fantastic place to go racing, and what a car to do it in, which would have probably been on Monza back in the day in the World Sports Car Championship as it was known back then. I have to say, Laboutelet's not been too troubled for the race lead over the last lap or so. He's got 6/10 of a second in his pocket, nothing really to write home about, still very much in slipstreaming range of the trio that are chasing him there behind, but he's again just not been bothered too much over the last couple of laps, and I wonder if he can use that to his advantage to just thwart the challenge for now.
I don't know if you noticed that, but Sasaki actually just pulled out of the slipstream, so he wants to be second right now. We're starting to get into the 4D chess moment of this race. It's going to be between these 4 guys, I think. I'm not sure Euro has the pace to catch up to this little quartet as they go on to start their 9th lap, and everyone's now just trying to figure out, okay, where's the best pace to overtake? Where do I want to be leading? Sasaki here thinking, okay, I'll have a go here. So he'll go up into P1, the boot to their P2. Will Dumont follow him through or not? He might do. He's looking. There goes Dumont as well. Is he going to go for it? He goes for both of them. Dumont decides he wants to lead the race now, and up to P1 goes Kylian Dumont.
Well, now he becomes the hunter to becoming the hunted. So let's see how this works out here for Kylian Dumont, because of course he doesn't have the advantage of that slipstream, the hole being punched in the air in front of him, unlike the other 3 drivers who are behind. So you would imagine that Dumont will be a little bit vulnerable in terms of the lack of straight line speed that he'll be suffering from. There's still 3 laps left to go in this one, so keep an eye out for that gap with Euro. What's he, 2.5 seconds off the back of those 4? If they really do start getting their elbows out and duffing one another up, then it's not out of the realms of possibility. I have to say, I do agree with you. I think it's quite unlikely at the moment. Out of Ascari we go, though, meanwhile. Now, what's the retaliation going to be for the likes of Sasaki and for Laboutelet? Down the back straight, Sasaki's on the inside line here, then just pulls out the slipstream as he did last time around against Thomas Laboutelet. So we know that these drivers behind have got the pace, biding their time, waiting for the opportunity. Someone who was waiting for the right opportunity was Kylian Dumont. Double slipstream there, a gap sort of opening on the inside, and then you saw Sasaki go back over to the normal racing line, which allowed the door to be properly opened, and then Dumont just walked through it beautifully.
Yeah, a lot of faith there in his other drivers as we starting to get spicy now. Sasaki pushed to the grass. Kai De Bruyne, there's contact between the 2. They're just about staying on the course. 2 by 2 now to the chicane. Who's to come out on top? Kai De Bruyne up to P3. The Boutelet now back up to the lead. No, it's Dumont. They are the 2 countrymen hitting each other. Kai De Bruyne is now up into P2, and Dumont down to P4. They're starting to see Mick Cazal there watching on thinking, guys, what are you doing? Stop that.
Yeah, you get the impression that this isn't going to be a friendly fight. It's going to be a barroom brawl towards the end of this one, don't you? If that corner was anything to take stock of. Takumi Miyazono's just lost another place, by the way. He's down into 9th position. Again, just not a particularly brilliant race there for him. And Gallo's charge looks to have stalled in 6th position as well. He's about half a second off the back of Pol Jura. This, of course, counts for the grid position for the grand final, just to remind you. Now, on board then with Kilian Drumont, part of the team that made up the Nations Cup Championship winning outfit for Subaru back in 2022 and held in very high esteem within the Gran Turismo circles, bounced onto the scene in 2022. And ever since then, he has never looked back. But through the final corner of Ascari, or Alboreto, as it's now known, with Kilian Drumont here. And what can he do? We begin lap 11 out of 12. So 2 more to go then here for this one. And last time around through the Curva Grande is when we started seeing drivers pushing the limits, getting their elbows out as De Bruyne now hits the front. He's used that slipstream, used the inside line, and he's taken the race lead away.
And leading for the first time now is Kai De Bruyne, but for how much longer? Sasaki back through that. I thought there was contact between them two. That would have been a huge crash if there were. Kai De Bruyne is leading for now. But Tom, do you want to be leading? Oh, he's got a penalty.
Yo, they're under investigation. They were under investigation.
It was a
track limit.
Oh, Kai De Bruyne again, just his own worst enemy there. Let's have a look at the overtaking that he did to get into lead in the first place. To me, this is fine until then. A little bit of contact between the two, and Laboutelet and Drumont had a little bit of contact as well. I don't really want to watch this right now. I want to watch what's happening at the front of the field.
It's going to be into here, isn't it? Yeah, he just biffs into the back of Laboutelet, which sends him into the side of Drumont.
You can't do much there. They're stopping on the apex and you're there. There's not much you can really do, I don't think. But a 1 second penalty is going to completely ruin his race. What a shame. That could have been a win for him.
Well, let's see how it works out. So he drops then down into 4th place. His only hope now is that those top 3 will still squabble. I mean, he's still in slipstreaming range. He's not out of the realms of possibility of this one. Can Kai De Bruyne have a fight back here on this final lap? So we come to start it then at Monza. It's Sasaki, Laboutelet and Drumont trailing off the back by 0.6 of a second. It's the luckless Kai De Bruyne. And keep an eye out for Jura and Gallo, who looks set to start squabbling behind. Here comes Laboutelet on Sasaki, down the start finish straight into the Curva Grande. Drumont makes it 3 abreast. On the outside is Drumont, in the middle is Laboutelet. On the inside here is Sasaki, who ducks out of it. He decides to let the 2 Frenchmen start battling amongst one another, and will wait for the opportunity to come his way. Into the Della Roggia chicane, Drumont's got the inside line, Laboutelet's on the outside, Park's still on the apex. Nothing doing there for Sasaki because there's no opportunity to use any extra momentum that he had. And the upshot is, coming through to the Lesmos, it's Drumont who's got the advantage, and De Bruyne is right back in the picture in 4th as well.
Yeah, French roadblock there. You can't help but think that might not have been a little bit coordinated by the guys in the blue Porsche 962, just making sure no one else can attack. But Drumont leads now as we come into the last half of the last lap here in the sprint race. Laboutelet second, Sasaki third, and Kai De Bruyne, even with his penalty, holding on there in 4th position. Of course, reminders will set the grid for the grand final coming up after this. But Kilian Drumont looking like he's got this one sewn up, Tom.
Well, coming out onto the back straight and in towards the Parabolica, I have to say, I kind of agree with you. Half a second is the advantage he's got in his back pocket, and as Kilian Drumont pulled an absolute blinder here, could we see a French 1-2 occupying the grid for the grand final? No one's close enough to send a Lancer on the inside. They're going to have to now be relying on a mistake out of this final corner, which no one seems to make. And the upshot is, it is going to be a French 1-2 in the sprint race. Kilian Drumont wins it from Thomas Laboutelet. Takuma Sasaki in 3rd, ahead of Kai De Bruyne in 4th, with Jura completing the top 5. Well, it promised so much, that race, and the upshot is Kai De Bruyne lost out. This is going to be hugely exciting, and the track is wet. We knew that weather was going to come into it. We weren't quite expecting it, though, at the start of the race. So who's going to plump for what tyres, and who will be leading down towards the first corner, crucially, as well. Kylian Drumont starts this one on pole position, a legacy of his victory in the sprint race. He's joined on the front row by his countryman, Thomas Leboutelet. Sasaki heads row 2. And he has got Kai de Bruin for company, unlucky to miss out on a podium here earlier on. Paul Ura heads the third row of the grid, and he's got Valerio Gallo alongside him. Gallo, of course, making good progress, as we said, in that sprint race. Jose Serrano next up in P7, and Takuma Miyazono, who is the favourite in the Predict the Winner campaign, lines up P8 with Adriana Corazza very close behind, and then Angel Inestrosa, the two South Americans, on the penultimate row of the grid. Guy Barbara in 11th position, and rounding out is Samuel Cardinal, the Canadian. So we know the track is wet, and everybody has decided to start on the intermediate compound of tyre. We're looking at the fact that there's some wet patches, but they're mostly offline here, Jimmy. That seems pretty sensible to me. Yeah, but it does mean if you're going side by side with someone, there are patches of the circuit that your intermediate tyre are not going to be able to deal with. So it's something to think about when overtaken. Also, is that these guys, I can guarantee they practice mostly in the dry. So this is going to be maybe uncharted territory for them. I expect they'll struggle a little bit, but it'll definitely make the racing more entertaining, I think. Certainly will. Well, penny for the thoughts of that man, Kylian Drumont, and what's going to be running through his mind at the moment. Sitting on pole position with his countryman Thomas Leboutelet behind. They put in a great formation in that sprint race, but can they repeat it here in this grand final? They're out of the final corner and coming to the timing line. This, of course, is the all-important race for points for Gran Turismo World Series 2 for the Nations Cup. We drive to the line here at the Red Bull Ring. Weather in play, and 30 laps of action to come. The lights go green, and we go racing for the grand final of the Nations Cup here in Berlin. So Drumont leads them up to turn 1, and then Leboutelet, then Sasaki, but it's turn 3, the first big braking zone. That's the real opportunity for overtaking, and Drumont, of course, does not have the advantage of the slipstream, but he did have the advantage of a nice clean run out of the first corner. Sasaki looks to try and pounce here on Leboutelet. On the brakes we go. It's very close behind there as well. Serrano versus Ura, de Bruns into the side of Sasaki as well. That's going to drop Sasaki down a few places, and Gallo is now through on his inside as well as Paul Ura, so 2 places lost in the space of 1 corner there for Takuma Sasaki. Not the start of the race he'll have wanted. Gallo, meanwhile, is on the inside of Ura and looks like he's made it stick down into turn 5. Serrano versus Miyazono side by side in the background. Action everywhere you look on the start of this race. Yeah, 3 places now lost for Sasaki. Gallo up 2, Kai de Bruin up 1. Now I'm sure the stewards will be having a little look at that one. It's quite an aggressive move there. Serrano now getting by Sasaki. That's 4 places lost for the Japanese driver, and now he's back with his countryman Takuma Miyazono. A terrible start there for the Japanese driver, but it just goes to show that qualifying doesn't always guarantee you a good start to the race. On board now, Sasaki, and look, he's that far back from where he started. You can see the spray being kicked up on the cars in front does hamper visibility a little bit, but not too much, enough to still see where you're going. But onto lap 2 now, the driver's using all the curb on the exit there, so confident to do that on this intermediate tyre. But got to be careful, they might still find a wet patch yet. Yep, Corazza's lost a couple of places from where he started. Gallo was the big winner on the opening lap. He made up 2 positions into P4. Into the braking zone of turn 3 we go. The closing speed there always makes me wince a little bit because they absolutely slamming on the anchors and just about getting stopped before making contact with the other drivers. Now Ura and Serrano, they're in formation here in 5th and 6th position. Can the 2 Spaniards, who of course I remind you were the top 2 finishers in the reverse order of where they are now in the first World Series event back in June. So Serrano and Ura with a lot of work to do in 6th and 5th place there respectively. Kai de Bruin meanwhile up into 3rd, but we know that incident on the first lap at the moment is under investigation. We'll see what the stewards say on that one, but meanwhile it's Drumont, Leboutelet, de Bruin. Drumont, here's a replay, didn't see this one. This is Corazza on board to P9 currently. On the brakes. Oh, yeah, up to the back of Miyazono there and Guy Barbara having contact. I mean, he drove in the back of him. I don't know what you want to say about that one. Yeah, not ideal at all there for Adriana Corazza. We know he's not afraid of getting his elbows out and often gets into a bit of trouble for it as well. The upshot is he's down in 11th position, so not good at all there for him. Guy Barbara was the big sort of profit on that. Here's Kai de Bruin attacking against Thomas Leboutelet. Disappointed to miss out on that podium in the sprint race was de Bruin. He makes amends for it with a send to the inside down into turn 3 and up into 2nd position is the Dutchman then. Great start to this race then here for him so far.
Kai de Bruyne looking strong today here at Berlin. I mean, could this finally be the time we see Kai battle for a win here? I don't know. Too early.
Now you've done it.
I probably jinxed it, but on lap 3 of a 30 lap race, is that what you call it?
Well, look, we're on lap 3, Jimmy, but I have to say, look at the circuit. You can see a few dry lines sort of just beginning to start appearing there, and I'm interested to see how much the spray is going to start to dissipate over the course of this one, because if there's no active rain falling, of course, these intermediate tyres, they're working all right here so far, but when's the crossover point going to come where you're going to think about dry tyres? There we are, look at the crossover lap times. Where are we now in terms of them? We're 1:13s, we're not too far away from that dry tyre, really.
Yeah, we're about there, so basically it's just who wants to blink first, because one, the tyres got to come up, and two, the racetrack becomes a lot narrower when you go onto that soft tyre, because if you even touch a wet patch, you get, and I speak from experience, you go flying off into the undergrowth. So no further action there from the start of the race. So Kai de Bruyne in second place, and now that captain Kylian Drumont.
And look at Valerio Gallo, he's bringing himself right into the picture here then as well. Karatza, Barbara and Miyazono are under investigation for that first corner skirmish that we saw a few moments ago. But now you've got 3 drivers lining astern. Oh, was there a bit of contact there between Labouche and De Bruyne down into turn 4?
And there might have been, I'm not sure, we didn't get a good angle there. Kai de Bruyne now defend from Labouche, they just chopped across the nose there of the French driver, saying, no, thank you, sir, I'm taking this for now. Yeah, might have been a smattering of contact, I'm sure. So in the midfield, we're just behind this man, we have the Spanish Euro and Serrano. Gallo there moving offline, maybe to try and break the toe, maybe to try and cool the tyres down. It looks like you can see now a dry line forming. So we are getting to the point now, I think, where they'll be starting to consider the idea of the soft compounder tyre. I wonder who's going to blink first.
Well, that's all well and good, but look at the clouds overhead. I mean, some of them are looking still pretty dark in the distance there, aren't they? Oh, De Bruyne's wide out of turn 1, isn't he, here? That's going to put Labouche right on his rear wing, and also allow an opportunity for Valerio Gallo as we come into turn 3. So, into the braking zone we go. Labouche's got the inside line. Gallo's got the momentum, but no room to use it. Oh, and a biff into the back there as Jura, sort of half-season opportunity, but makes a bit of a meal of his braking and has to back out a bit and just allow Gallo an opportunity to hold on to that 4th place.
Yeah, a bit clumsy by Jura there, just not running into the back of Gallo. There's nowhere to go there, running to the back of him. So I don't think there'll be a penalty or anything, but just maybe a little warning from the steward saying, "Can't keep it clean. We've got a long race to go yet, boys, so don't be shunting each other on lap 5. De Bruyne falling back a little bit from Drumont after that mistake at T1, but it just goes to show how narrow the margins are. Again, a sideways moment for Kai de Bruyne. He's really struggling now on his inters. Maybe he's burned them up.
I was just about to say,
that way.
Yeah, I think overheating the tyres now then here. I mean, in terms of the tyre wear, they're all about sort of the same. Oh, Labouche's the first driver to blink, so P3, Labouche's come in. We were asking that at the end of the last lap, and at the end of this one, Labouche's come in. He's going to stick a set of, surely, soft tyres on, because if the rain is going to be set to come down later on, if you stuck anything other than softs on, you'd be a bit of a wally, to be honest with you. Onto the soft he goes, Labouche out and into the circuit, but where's he going to emerge?
Well, I don't understand though, surely. If you're like Cardinal and Estroza, Karatza, you take a punt too. You go for it, because you're not going to catch him on speed at that point. But I would love to see how Labouche handles this as Gallo comes under attack from Jura. Jura up the inside, Serrano's going to follow him through. They come 2 at a time to the Spaniards, and there comes Jura. Can Serrano make it through as well, using the draft of Jura, who pulls across to help his compatriot? That's teamwork there. These guys are working together.
I love that. And Sasaki's there sort of lurking in the background here, isn't he, after the challenging start that the Japanese driver has had to this race. I really am not sure what's going on with Takuma Miyazono at the moment, by the way. We're used to seeing him up the sharp end pretty consistently throughout this one. And, normally we see him doing a bit of a different strategy, so it would be a bit all over the place. But, here in these conditions, you have no choice but to be on the tyres that you're on, really. He's not made much of an impression at all here tonight.
No, not really. Just maybe not gelling. No, he's been very busy. He's driving real life now in the NLS and Nürburgring Langstrecke Series. And might I say, by the way, fastest Sector 2 by Thomas Boutelet.
So soft tyres are the way to go. There we go. Serrano and Barbara ready to take profit of that one. They've listened to the advice. Now, the question is, have they chosen the right time? Because look, the dry line, very much prominent here. You can see it's pretty slick still, though, offline. You've got to be quite careful, because you dive to the inside, even though you've got those slick tyres on in particular, and you're sending it through, you're not going to get the car stopped, because you're just going to have no grip coming into the braking zone. On the intermediate tyres, you might be all right if you've got enough rubber left underneath you, you've not burned them up. But this is the problem. All the while they're on this drying circuit, they're going to be slower than the soft shell runners who are just going to be closing that gap down, even though they're at the back of the field.
Lap times are falling, Tom. 14, 15 second, 1:15 some people there from the 1:13 from earlier on. These intermediate tyres are just falling apart. They've got to get onto a soft tyre. The Boutelet, I think, has called it well, because we'll see how he is through that middle sector, what his lap time is. He's not set a full lap time yet without a out lap. So we've got 1:13.0 to beat. I won't be surprised to see him dip into the 12s here, and he'll be the overall leader when they all pit.
No doubt about it. Now, do the top two come into the pit? Oh, completely. They have to. Yeah, no worries. So, Ura in there as well. Gallo surely is going to follow them. I just reckon we're going to see a flying formation with everybody else coming into the box, because any longer on that one, you just be a bit of a fool, really. You have to sit for the current conditions. But the question is, Laboutelet, Serrano and Barbara, what sort of inroads have they been able to make relative to the other drivers around them? The question will be here for Laboutelet in particular, because he was the first driver to blink, and has he got the lead of the race back here from Kilian Drumont as a result of that early pit stop? Comes out of the first corner, and he is now back into the lead of the race, and he's got a bit of a cushion here, and Serrano's picked his pocket there as well, so that's worked out quite nicely there for Jose Serrano, who now splits the two Frenchmen in second.
Boutelet went 6 tenths faster than anyone on his first full lap there on the slick tyre, so that was the right choice. I'd say maybe they will box a little bit too late. It was a bit of a gamble by Laboutelet, but it did pay off. It's put him at the front of the pack now, and everybody else who sort of followed suit, Serrano boxed early as well, has moved them on a few paces, so that was the right choice to do that. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if it continues this way, if it continues to dry, or whether we're due more rain or not.
Yeah, the clouds you can see looking still pretty menacing overhead. There's a big dark one right up in the middle of the middle sector there, and I mean, look, I'm no weather expert, but I have lived in Great Britain for pretty much all of my life. I have to say, that is looking pretty menacing, pretty ominous indeed. You have no choice but to change over to the dry tyres. You can try to eke it out on the intermediate tyres. You're going to hemorrhage so much time that anything you'd have gained from not making that extra pit stop, you'd have ended up losing from the fact that everybody else around you would have been so much faster. So they had no other choice but to blink at that point, and it's been a great profit there for Thomas Laboutelet and for Jose Serrano. And let's see now what happens with the weather. If it starts to fall in a light intensity, they might be all right if they can keep heating to the tyres. But if it's an absolute deluge, intermediates or wet, that's got to be the only way to go. And do you blink early? Do you chance it and hope that it'll dry up and then wait till later? It's a proper gamble, a proper guessing game that no one really knows how to work out.
You've got to just drive to the conditions at this point. It is dry tyre is fast, just stay on that tyre. I mean, you can't just go, oh, it looks a bit cloudy out, I'm going to switch to the wet. You'll just lose all your time you've gained. But you can see out there, it is slippery. It's not full slick conditions yet. There is a dry line, yes. There's also a lot of wet on the circuit still. And if you catch that in this car, the crash happens so quickly you don't even realise what's happened. You're already in the wall. So right now the Boutelet Serrano hasn't got the best. Now one to Serrano, again, from someone who seems a bit anonymous in the sprint race, it's just doing what he does, climbing up the field, and is now looking at the back of the leader and gaining. Well, can we see another win maybe for Jose Serrano today? It's anybody's game at this point.
Yeah, Jose Serrano has absolutely come alive here in this grand final. He's got the overspeed. First corner, not really the place you're going to be making a pass. Needs to hope that he gets a strong exit out of there, but has a bit of a slide actually on the curve there. Laboutelet gets great attraction, and that just denies an opportunity for Serrano to try and launch an attack into turn 3. No dive bombs into there, not at this stage of the race. We're only 1/3 through out of the race distance, but look at how dark that cloud is looking overhead. Look at how ominous it is here at the Red Bull Ring. And now Serrano closer than ever before on Thomas Laboutelet, who goes for a sort of half defensive line down that back straight, but holds on to the race lead coming into 4.
Knows at the back of this little train, it's Guy Barber. He's managed to bring himself back up from pretty much the back of the grid up to P7 now, only a couple of seconds off the lead. I mean, it is the back of his train, but he's there. If there's a mistake, he'll be there to capitalise. So good performance so far from the Australian driver, and then we see this every time. He makes a mistake, comes back through, and then finishes pretty high, but could have done better if he qualified well. It's just, he needs to get that qualifying sorted, I think.
Yeah, that was his Achilles heel, you know. He sort of put him on the back foot courtesy of the fact that he started right down the field in the sprint race. Look at the live points rankings. If it landed as it was now, it would be great for Jose Serrano, because he would have a bit of a comfortable cushion going into the penultimate round of the Gran Turismo World Series in Los Angeles in November. But there's plenty of time between now and when the checkered flag will fly here in this race. On board we are here with Kai de Bruyne. Ever the opportunist, ever chasing his first podium in the GT World Series. Into turn 3 we go. And such is the legacy of the race that we've had here for this one. We haven't really had any breakaway battles, no divergence on soft, medium or hard compounds strategies. That's why we're on lap 11 and you've got, 6 or 7 drivers all separated by a second or so effectively out on track.
Yeah, I mean, it is that close right now. It will continue to be that close until the checkered flag falls, I imagine, as we keep watching Jose Serrano. The thing is, if you make a move, you just open yourself up to an attack from somewhere else. So you really have to make sure you are 100% sure you want to do that. Got to be decisive. Gallo right now, they're looking onto the wet line. I always get a bit scared when they do that, but yeah, they managed to seem to make the tyre work even whilst dousing it in water. So here we are. The top 6. That's 6 drivers there in that frame. They're there. So close right now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, they're all sort of keeping their powder dry. I mean, they're looking a bit scrappy coming down this start-finish race, thinking about a bit of a move, but no one's really doing a big send to the inside at the moment. They know it's a long race. They know that the likelihood is, I mean, look, in the background there, it all looks nice and calm and cool in terms of the weather, but Inestrosa has just come into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. Is he going to do a bit of an alternate strategy? He's gone to the intermediate tyre. I mean, I haven't seen any spots of rain, unless there's a couple of spots coming on the sort of front canopy of that Rebel X 2019. But, I mean, look, Inestrosa, he's so far down the order, trying something different is, it's something, isn't it? But
why?
The track's bone dry. Well, that's why. The weather radar, I suppose, is probably looking at.
Yeah, but, right now, it is still slick tyres. It's what I mean. You can't... For this, you can't go, right, I'm going to think in 7D, but right, it will rain. I say that kind of Bruin runs into the back. What happened there? Serrano's slow. Still slow. I mean, Kai's looking a bit puzzled too.
Yeah, I think basically what happened, Serrano must have had a moment there and he just backed the rest of them up then, didn't he? Drumont's got a warning there.
Maybe that was it. He just
for a collision.
Just nipped him maybe and slowed him down. Kind of Bruin now right at the back of the Frenchman's X 2019. Nothing really to do here. I don't see any rain, Tom. I mean, the radar is up. There's nothing on the canopy. And again, in real life, you don't box until the slicks can't take it anymore.
Yeah, you're not at the crossover point, no doubt about it. The thing is, the rain coming down on the canopy, fine, looks particularly spectacular as we see Drumont versus Serrano side by side in turn 3. Serrano holds firm, but runs a bit deep actually on the apex, so that might allow Drumont to close up onto the exit of the corner. Goes off onto the sort of wetter part of the circuit here and down in towards turn 4. He's got the inside line, but has he got the grip under braking? He has. Drumont is through and on the inside of Jose Serrano. Oh, look at that for Kaida Brun. Beautiful. On the inside, the door was open and Kaida Brun gladly walked through it.
You don't have to ask him, do you? You always say, all right, okay, I'll take that. Thank you very much. Any opportunity. And Kai's on that. I've got to admire that driving style. Super aggressive, super opportunistic, and up to P3 now.
He's like a Jack Russell, isn't he, Kaida? But he's sort of, yapping away at your heels and then out over your shoulder. It's just sort of
a very tall Jack Russell.
Very tall Jack Russell indeed. Well, he is Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, that's unfair.
So, look, Inestrosa, just to finish that thought, by the way, he's 22 seconds off the back, but exactly as you say, all the while you keep it heat in those slick tyres, there's no need to change over to the intermediates because you're just not putting, you're not running out of grip or anything like that. And I started to get his point, but now look at the weather radar. It's changed back to slick, so unless he's just going to tippy-toe round, but you've got to keep a level of pace up.
You've got to ignore that radar. Obviously, it gives you an idea of what's coming, but you are there. You are the best place, the best person to determine what tyres you've got to be on. So that's what they always say to me on the radio when we're racing around the North Side. They say, "You tell us." And just saying, "Oh, but the radar says," yeah, but it's bone dry. Don't go onto a wet tyre. Look, he was 3 seconds slower than that in Inestrosa. Any advantage he might have gained is already gone. He's losing time every lap now.
I always remember, do you remember the 2009 Malaysian Grand Prix? Particularly weird sort of thing to get into, I know. But it was a race that was affected by rain. It ended up not going the full race distance, but there was a strategy there where Ferrari went onto the wet tyres on a bone-dry circuit. Anyway, get away from that diversion because, look, everybody else is now coming in. They've got to be coming in for intermediate tyres, surely. So the top 3, Labousse, Drumont and De Bruyne, have all come into the pit lane. They've gone for intermediate tyres. Serrano, Ura, etc. have all stayed out here. Now, are they going to take advantage? Lap times, they're in the 1:11. They're easily slick times last time around. Unless they're expecting an absolute deluge on this lap. I don't know. Is that the right call?
It's not raining, boys. What's going on? I'm sitting here like wondering, I mean, maybe they can see something we can't. I mean, but again, I can see there is the weather radar here. I mean, hopefully we can show you guys on screen as well. So we can see that here is the weather radar. We can see that there is some rain coming, but can you see rain now? No! What's going on?
Oh, Le Bousselet and De Bruyne there. So De Bruyne's managed to take profit of that one. So he's now ahead of the two Frenchmen. Of course, Le Bousselet, just to remind you, was in the race lead prior to this one. So, you know, is this the effective race lead, or is now this the time for Jose Serrano Pol Jura to start coming to the fore? Now there is the rain on the canopy for the first time. But of course they've waited a lap later. They'll have been puppy and set times. They're going around another time. So they're thinking we're nowhere near the crossover point, but are they going to be waiting that little bit too long? Because now the rain's coming down at a heavier intensity here. Miyazono and Carazza subsequently have blinked at the end of lap 16. They've decided they're going for intermediates.
They're just going to risk it, I think, and try and save the pit stop. If you can do that and hang it out, you save a pit stop. I was speaking to our co-commentator Florian Strauss. No, it's the wrong choice. Look at this. It is definitely the wrong choice. The slick tyres have nothing. But then again, the rain has almost stopped again. Maybe it's drier at this point of the circuit. Of course, the rain moves over the track, so not all of it is wet at once.
Just to give some clarification for the audience, by the way, the weather radar, when it's a light blue, that's sort of a light rain. When it gets to dark blue, that's a heavy rain. When it's green, duck and find cover and get a boat with two oars rather than a Red Bull X 2019 with wet tyres, to be honest with you, is probably the best solution. Right, so it's pretty wet in the first part of the first sector that we can see. The middle sector looks all right, though, to be honest with you. Can't see too much rain that's affecting this part of the circuit. Now the question is, how much time for the likes of Le Bousselet, De Bruyne and Drummond, who all boxed at the end of the last lap, how much time are they going to be gaining or losing relative to the top four who are still on the slick tyres? The opportunity is there for these slick runners, but, you know, are the track conditions meeting what they're expecting?
Well, here's where it's wettest. It's down here at T1 going up towards T2 and T3, and that's when we saw Gallo really struggle. But let's have a look now as they come through. It looks like it's dry. So I think by staying out, making that right call, the water's been cleared up pretty much instantly. I mean, these things are pretty much vacuum cleaners of water. The water gets just thrown up and off into oblivion. So staying on this soft tyre was the right choice, because now they don't have to box off it again. They're on the right tyre at this time. If it does continue to rain, then you come in a box. But I think braving that out was the right choice, and only 4 cars have done that. Serrano, Jura, Gallo and Guy Barbara.
But Drummond has just lost a place to Takuma Sasaki, who's braved it out on the soft competitive tyre and is now taking profit of those runners who went for the intermediate tyres in this middle stint of the race, and now they're hemorrhaging time relative to those around. I mean, like lap times wise, last time around, Jose Serrano on the soft tyres, 1:16.6. Le Bousselet was a 1:30, but this time it's going to be surely the converse of that, because the rain has stopped and the track conditions are falling back. Or is it though? I say that, now the top 3 are coming into the pits. Is Guy Barbara going to follow them in, or is he going to go bold with the strategy? No, he comes in as well. He's following the leaders because he's now gained track position pretty much from right at the back of the field. So they're going on to the intermediate tyres about 2 laps later than the top 3. So now let's see how this is ebb and flowed. Don't forget, Le Bousselet and Drummond were at the front of this race along with Serrano prior to the pit stops. Now with the reverse of that, it's Le Bousselet, De Bruyne and Drummond who lead this race, with Serrano in 4th. Carazza's up to 5th position here, and Jura is down to 6th place. So those who did pit earlier for those intermediate tyres ultimately have managed to take profit of that.
See a lot of confused faces in the audience. Don't worry, us too. We're trying to work it out as we go at the moment. But what I would love to see now is that weather radar, because guess what? Rain's here once again, but there are people out there on significantly newer intermediate tyres than the rest. So have to wonder if they just saw this coming, because you can only go so far out of the weather radar. You can't go too far, but that cloud looks ominous. The Bousselet, De Bruyne and Drummond, 1, 2, 3. Serrano's 4th as well. Really, and that pack who stayed out, who braved it, actually lost out, which I don't see how that makes sense. My brain can't get around that.
So I kind of get what you're saying, but yeah, look, it's difficult. I mean, look at the sky. It's like a British summer's day. It's dark on one part of it, and look at the rain now. It's coming down in a very heavy intensity, heavier than we've seen it over the course of this one. Now, the question is, how long are these intermediate tyres going to hold up? And those who pitted earlier on, of course, their intermediate tyres are going to be a lot more worn than those who pitted 2 laps later, because the track wasn't wet enough at the time. They were burning up, they were overheating those intermediate tyres. So if you're on the Inters now, fine, have you got the grip underneath you because you might have burnt those tyres out a bit sooner, or are you going to still have the grip underneath you because the rain might be falling heavier?
And of course, bear in mind, the way that intermediate tyres wear is you basically burn the tread away. So if it gets wetter, you lose the ability to move the water in the same way you would with a fresh intermediate tyre. So you start getting into a lot of levels of thinking here, trying to work out what is the best way to do it. And the thing is, in real life racing, you will have a team on the end of your radio telling you what the best opportunity is.
Look at the tyres.
They've got to do it all themselves.
Look at the tyres there. So you can see the top three who pitted earlier for the intermediate tyres. Their tyres are significantly more warm relative to the likes of Serrano and Gallo and Ura. Ura, meanwhile, has just lost the place to Valerio Gallo, who's made a overtake on Ura for 6th position. But, yeah, so you can see that those who pitted later on, of course, have got more tyre left, as you would begin to expect. Now Le Boutelet is challenging with De Bruyne. Side by side we go. Le Boutelet still holds firm in the race lead as De Bruyne sort of had a half look to the inside going down the start finish straight, but couldn't quite make it stick. So we're 2/3 done here in this race. We're on board here with Dumont, spray being thrown in front of him effectively from the cars, and we head into the braking zone of turn 3. So this is your battle for the race lead, but how is this one going to ebb and flow in terms of the weather? I mean, look at the sky, it looks pretty clear, pretty okay.
Cody's got the run on the Buta there on the outside, better off the exit, just came off the racing line, good launch there, looking around the outside, can he make it stick on the Frenchman? He can, right around the outside goes Kai de Bruyne, back up into the lead of the race, really nice move there by the Dutch driver. But as you say, Tom, I mean, like we haven't got a weather radar here on screen right now, so I can't tell you what's coming and what isn't, but the skies look good. I think we're going to go back towards maybe a drier circuit. So, I mean, the question remains, do you reckon you could have kept out with soft tyres? I don't think so. I think that would be too much.
Well, look, let's park that thought for now. The question now is, look, it looks dry. It looks perfect overhead. As you see the two Frenchmen squabbling for second place here with Le Boutelet and Dumont. But can you now go to the end of the race on the intermediate tyres, or are you going to have to make another pit stop and go to dry tyres if it dries out towards the end of this one? There's so much going on in this one, and the upshot is, now, for the first time, Kai de Bruyne it is that leads from Kylian Dumont, Le Boutelet in second, Serrano in third. You've got 4 drivers there separated by about 1.5–2 seconds or so as they come on the run into turn 3, and now Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman, leads a race for the first time in the grand finals in the Nations Cup.
What an introduction there to Dunlops, to this series. Pretty much all that tyres being used at once in this race. Cool to see. But now, yeah, as you say, it's a matter of how long until the track dries out again. We said crossover time. It's about 1 minute 13 or so from the intermediate to the soft compounder tyre. Last lap time for context for our leader, Kai de Bruyne, 1:16.5. So we're not quite there yet, but Miyazono managed a 15.1. So the time is there. And that 15.1, by the way, that was on a older set of tyres. Not the oldest set on the grid, but an older set of tyres. So, well, there you are, last lap on the screen there. So, we're approaching it, but we're not quite there yet. But it's one of those big calls. If you're Guy Barber or something, made a call early, have a go. Why the hell not?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Guy Barber was, as you saw earlier on, he was right at the sharp end of this one. The upshot is, because he pitted when he did, he lost a bit of track position and is now down into 8th position. You can see further behind there as well, you've got the likes of Gallo with Carazza and Ura all squabbling for places. Guy Barber celebrated his birthday yesterday. Would love to give himself a birthday present of a podium finish as we ride on board here with Jose Serrano, who's now all over the rear wing of Le Boutelet into the braking zone of turn 3. Has he got the grip on the outside? They run side by side, but they'll have a face on the curb. He's got the traction though. He's got the overspeed. That's absolutely beautiful from Jose Serrano, who's now through it into 3rd place and fancies a nibble at Kylian Dumont 2nd before too long. Not quite down into turn 4, but he's certainly getting the hurry up.
The Serrano's Dunlop intermediates are significantly newer than Drumont's and De Bruyne's in front. That might play into this race. I've just seen our radar we have on our screen here. There is still a little bit of rain left, but after that it seems to be, that's it, dry. So I feel as if we're going to be going back to soft tyres at some point in this race. When, though, that's up to the drivers. The Serrano now is right on the back of Dumont. Is he going to go for a move? He's got so much more speed right now than the driver in front of him. Has Serrano played a blinder here? I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. This guy is a past winner, one last time out of London. He's a Nations Cup champion from 2023 in the team format. never came out.
Do you know what this race reminds me of? Do you remember World Series 2 in Prague last year? Hengse versus Bedina. De Bruyne, by the way, was just a little bit wide over the curb there. Drummond, I beg your pardon. That might have cost him a bit of drive coming in towards turn 3 and allowed Serrano to attack. But Hengse versus Bedina last year, we saw a great battle in exactly the same conditions as this. And now look at the drive that Serrano gets on the exit of turn 3. He's in the slipstream here of Kylian Drummond. Drummond's going to defend this line surely to the inside and force Serrano to the outside. You can make a move stick through there. He needs a good grip under braking and a willing dance partner. Drummond tries to squeeze him. Serrano's there, but he gets a pace full of curve as Drummond holds the line for a second and holds on for now the charge of the flying Spaniards.
Drummond there just walking me out to the outside of the second, saying no thank you son. Here's on board the Paul Euro replay. Right into the back of Gallo. Hits Gallo again. Second time his race he's done that.
Yeah, no grip under braking there for Euro, just plants it into the back of Gallo. He in turn then goes into the side of Adriano Carazzo, who's on the receiving end of that one. Serrano having a look, he's got more grip, he's trying to use it to his advantage to the inside of the final corner. What a lunge from Jose Serrano. He's now through and into second. He wants to get 2 wins from 2 World Series events. It compromised his run though out of the final corner. Could leave him vulnerable, but I think he just about gathers it up okay.
Starting to see a little bit of a dry line emerge there, Tom, and I think if you're Kai de Bruyne, those rear tyres are going off pretty, you can see here, they're going off pretty bad like. Same thing as Stroh's. I mean, his race isn't really going to affect the rest of his race here, but Kai de Bruyne, Drummond and Labuche have something to think about very soon. Serrano, though, he can probably drag those in. Look at how much faster he is. He's already on the back of Kai de Bruyne, going down into T4 here. Will he make a go of it? He gets very close to the Dutchman, but look at the amount of speed he has over the car in front. It's only a matter of time. It has to be. Serrano will be leading this race if he can get by Kai de Bruyne.
De Bruyne's going to defend this one here in the middle sector. No surprise there at all. Innes Rose is going to surely go to the soft tyres. Nothing to lose there for him. Right at the back, but at the sharp end of this one, De Bruyne, he's all over the road. He's just got no grip underneath him. Serrano's going to drive by like he's left the handbrake on. There's contact as they come through the exit of the right-hander. Serrano there with the inside line, and now the lead of the race for the first time. Jose Serrano for Spain is in front here in the grand final, and he's got 6 laps separating him from his second victory in succession.
I don't think there's enough time to come in and put the softs on for it to make a difference.
I think you're right. I was just about to say, you know, the crossover, what, we won 13? We're about at that window now, but the time you're going to lose, what, 25 seconds, something like that? You're not going to gain that unless everybody else does it, and it's such a gamble at the sharp end. Serrano, I don't think he can afford to take that risk now.
But some of these guys might have to. I mean, look who's having a stab at it. Mirzono's going to go, whatever. Nothing to lose for Mirzono. It's a long way back on this pack, but it might be worth doing something. There's 5 and a bit laps left. I don't know. Serrano might have played this one just fantastic. A bit wide down the bottom there. It doesn't matter. He's already gained a second on De Bruyne and Drummond. So now Paul Euro also coming through the field on a much healthier intermediate tyre.
Well, they picked it at the same time, didn't they?
Yeah, are we going to see another Spanish 1-2?
It's not out of the realms of possibility, is it? I mean, look, you know, Euro lost track position courtesy of the fact that he was a couple more car lengths behind Serrano, and ultimately, because of the field, they were so close to one another. It means that he's now got more hard work to do here, Paul Euro. But look at him, he's all over the back of Kylian Drummond like a bad rash, and Drummond's race and De Bruyne's race are falling apart like a cheap watch. Through the final corner we go, across the timing line, and you get the sense that Euro is going to send one through on the inside because he'll just have that much more grip under braking, and indeed he does. Look at that. Paul Euro into third place. He'll have great attraction on the exit. Next target, Kai de Bruyne, and it's only a matter of time here.
Yeah, and Kai de Bruyne's stuck. He can't do anything here apart from box. Here comes Valerio Gallo also on a newer tyre as well. So all those who pitted for the intermediates a bit later are all seeing Drummond and Boufflet contact the French drivers who are leading this 1-2 at the start down to 5th and 6th and still falling, and suddenly Gallo is in with a chance of a podium too.
There's no adage for experience in the Gran Turismo World Series. The podium, just to remind you, for World Series 1, Serrano, Euro and Gallo was your top 3 finishers. At the moment it looks set that that could be on for a repeat. Serrano leads, but Euro's got the inside line here on Kai de Bruyne in the middle sector. Can he make it stick through into the left-hander? He can, and Gallo's there as well. De Bruyne loses 2 places. Montoya tyres are absolutely toast, by the way. That's why he's sliding around like a dog on a polished floor. So he's going to surely have to come in and make a box before the end of this race. De Bruyne's going to be going backwards there as well. They're intermediate tyres. There's no water left to clear them. They're just overheating. They're all over the shop. And now we've got 2 laps left remaining, and it's Serrano, Ura and Gallo, a repeat, possibly, of the World Series 1 podium on the cards here in Berlin.
That is huge. And you know who gains 2 seconds there in Sector 2 alone? Takuma Miyazono in P9. So he's flying right now on that soft compound tyre. I think maybe a bit too far back to do anything, but still the speed is there. Who knows?
Well, look who the big winners are in that one. Guy Barbara, I know he's just picked up a 2-second penalty. Sasaki as well also made ground because they pitted at the same time as the 3 who are now in the top 3 positions here of this race. And I tell you what, Jimmy, it's not over in the battle for these podium places because Gallo, he needs as many points as he can. He's 3rd in the championship at the moment. If he can get one over of Ura, that will be enough to promote him up into 2nd in the championship, I reckon.
You know, we'll have a go. Last lap there. Look who's the fastest on the circuit right now. It's Takuma Miyazono, 1:12.1, but only 1.1 seconds faster than Serrano. Not quick enough, I think, to make that gap to the front, but quick enough to maybe challenge for a couple more positions. Meanwhile, Ura and Gallo going at it on his intermediate tyres, wearing more and more. Ura boxes.
He's boxed.
Why?
His intermediate tyres. Is he just taking a gamble? Is he deciding that
why
his tyres are going to be slow to the end of the race and he's taking a risk? I mean, look, for our money, the safe bet, surely, 2 laps to go, you just nurse those intermediate tyres to the end of this race, but he's throwing caution to the wind. I mean, was there a gap, 5 seconds or so? Back to Sasaki, but surely he's going to be dropping track position. Let's see where he comes under the pit lane here, Paul Ura. He's going to have the mother and father of all jobs now to do this in the last 2 laps of this race. The upshot is, though, Serrano has to play this one safe. He's got no choice. He's backed into a corner, and he's now just got to drive this one as best he can. Barbara versus De Bruyne, meanwhile. De Bruyne's still stuffing it out on the intermediate tyres, but he's going to fall down like a stone. But we're still holding our head in our hands, wondering the strategy there of Paul Ura, who's, by the looks of things, thrown away what could have been a certain podium.
I don't understand. I don't know. We'll ask him afterwards, but only he knows what's going through his own mind. But meanwhile, Guy De Bruyne fighting off Guy Barbara. I bet he didn't think he'd be battling for 4th place at the end of this. Sasaki ahead of them on the podium now. Again, someone else who probably had no idea, but Serrano is coming on to start his penultimate lap, and the pace is still there. His last lap, 14.3, starting to fall off now. But look at the gap. He can afford a couple of seconds of lap.
The drop-off is quite dramatic, I will say, on these intermediate tyres. So unless they're sort of thinking, look, if I run 2 more laps on these tyres, the rears are going to be toast, and I'm just going to be crawling around on that final lap, and that's what they're sort of gambling on. But look, let's wait and see how it all works out. I tell you, someone who'll be ruining how this race has panned out is Guy Barbara. I know he's in P5, he's on for a strong result, but he was on the podium effectively now. He was in where Sasaki was prior to that 2-second penalty that he had a few moments ago. Meanwhile, Takuma Miyazono, we've hardly mentioned him at all here tonight. We talked about unusual strategies. He's just quietly ghosted his way up into 6th position and is now all over the back of Guy Barbara as De Bruyne versus Sasaki for the final podium place. Side by side they go. Sasaki holds it, but De Bruyne's got the inside line. Has he got the traction through on the inside? He has. Kai De Bruyne is now back up and into the podium places.
Yeah, De Bruyne wants this. He's basically on the podium the entire race. Miyazono, though, look at him. He's stuck. He can't get by Guy Barbara. He can't go off the race and lie on those soft tyres, but the traction's there. And now, there's only 1 more lap left. Is Sasaki going to be far enough ahead to keep his position from Takuma Miyazono? This has been a ridiculous race. Jose Serrano starts his last lap, so he's now leading in the T1, 6 seconds with him and Valerio Gallo. Kai De Bruyne 3rd, Sasaki 4th just from Takuma Miyazono, and Guy Barbara 6th. Paul Ura 7th after boxing for a reason we can't comprehend. This race has been ridiculous.
Well, look at the points rankings here for Jose Serrano. It would be a clean sweep in the Nations Cup for him so far. But Paul Ura, he'd have been on for a level 2nd place with Valerio Gallo had he finished where he was. The upshot is he's now looking set to not finish on the podium unless other drivers fall into severe misfortunes in the final half a lap here at this Red Bull Ring circuit. But Jose Serrano, his rear tyres are absolutely knackered at the moment. They're right down to the canvas, the cord, and anything that's underneath that, and he's just going to be cruising his way but he's got, what, 7 seconds in his pocket, and unless he makes a slip up of his lines in the final sector, I think this race is going to go the way of Jose Serrano, and what a drive it has proven to be. 2 more corners from home, and this is going to feel like the longest 2 of the young Spaniard's life. He now makes his way around the final corner. Jose Serrano makes it 2 wins from 2 races in the Nations Cup here in Berlin. What a performance from the Spaniard. Second place for Valerio Gallo, and P3 for Kai de Bruyne. His first ever podium in the Gran Turismo World Series. Sasaki versus Miyazono, and Miyazono mugs Sasaki at the checkered flag there as well. And Paul Ura, well, from what we saw, it looks like he threw away what could have been an almost certain podium here tonight.
I'm not allowed to describe this race the way I want to because we're
Now my off-cop.
Yeah, we're a friendly stream that way. But what happened there? That was a ridiculous race, and how well played by Jose Serrano. You know what, going into this final, I was like, nah, he's not in it. It's going to be between the French guys, who ended 7th and 8th, by the way, the Boutelet and Drummond. But Serrano just showing what experience means in these GT live events. Valerio Gallo, an amazing second place, who finished with pretty much no rear left tyre, and Kai de Bruyne finally getting back on the podium where he belongs. A couple of steps maybe lower than he wanted, but still an impressive performance there from the Dutchman.
Yeah, I have to say, if you're Kai de Bruyne. Here in London, it is World Series 1 of 2025. Let's run you through the grid and how they're going to be lining up ahead of the grand final here at the Tokyo Expressway. Well, Sai Suzuki absolutely blitzed it in qualifying. He lines up on pole position for Team BMW and is joined on the front row by Takuma Miyazono for Subaru. Row 2, Sato in the Porsche. They were pretty handy in Q1, but lots of time in Q2. Kawakami and Lexus, the reigning champs, line up alongside. Morimoto heads row 3 for Toyota, and Kokkoman is there for Mazda in 6th place as well. Sasaki lining up P7 for Mercedes AMG, and Gotto for Lamborghini down in P8. Can the mid-engine layout prove to be fortunate here today? Kamada lines up 9th into the top 10 is Okamoto for Nissan, and the grid is completed by Sugimura in the Honda NSX, and 12th position is Jun Hoshida in the Ferrari 458. Now, of course, difference in tyre strategies available for the drivers. No options for, or no rules essentially to state that they have to use both tyre compounds in the race, and interestingly there, JB, the top two have gone for the softs.
Yeah, I mean, just like another motorsport series, those soft tyres are going to be faster than those mediums. They'll be off to a good start, and the objective of going on that tyre early is to try and build a gap, try and get into clean air and use the rubber to its best possible use. Of course, championship points are available down to 6th position, so everyone vying over those top 6 places. But watch out for Suzuki, watch out for Miyazono. They'll be fast starting, and after that it's going to be a bit of a Royal Rumble, I think.
Yep, certainly will. Looking forward to seeing how this one is going to work out. There is Sai Suzuki. Of course, he's in a bit of a disadvantage at the start of this one, despite being in pole position, because he hasn't got the hole in the air being punched in front of him, unlike all the other drivers behind. And are they going to be able to use that slipstream to their advantage once we get onto the long straight here? Well, we're ready to go. World Series 1 of Gran Turismo here in London is underway. Sai Suzuki leads the field across the line, followed by Miyazono, then Sato. So it's BMW, Subaru and Porsche down towards the first corner. Is anybody going to think about a dive into T1? I think they're a bit too far away, really, to be honest with you. What about, though, into the next series of corners? We're on a long straight now and heading into a very heavy braking zone. Is that going to leave BMW under a bit of pressure here from Subaru? Can Porsche and maybe even Lexus get themselves involved in the action? So here it is, Suzuki that leads on the soft tyres from the fellow soft shod Takuma Miyazono down into the hairpin bend. No moves at the sharp end of this field, but the rear of them looking pretty close actually into there.
Yeah, everyone actually following line of stern through there. So Suzuki, Miyazono lead the pack. Look at the gap already between Miyazono and Sato in that. Porsche behind, making use of that soft tyre for now. But as you're saying, Tom, a lot of medium speed corners here, and there is the dirty air that is thrown up by these Group 3 machines. So it's about being a bit more careful in the corner than you like to be. Now Miyazono kind of hanging on for dear life here in the back on Suzuki in that BMW, using the toe to his best possible use, and he might have to be close enough for a go into the hairpin at the bottom here, but does he want to leave? That is the question. So on board now with Miyazono through this long twisted session, completely flat out in his Group 3 cars, and now we go towards the hairpin. Suzuki goes defensive in the BMW. Miyazono maybe looks to the inside. No, he stays there for now, and the positions remain unchanged at the front.
It's interesting there how the difference in line sort of converged back up, because the track bottlenecks up. Sato having a big wiggle out of the hairpin bend. That might leave them under a bit of pressure here from Lexus and Kawakami. It's not a particularly long run into sort of the next big braking zone. Well, actually, as a matter of fact, it sort of flicks right and then left, so you're going through these medium speed corners. The problem that you've got, though, in these medium speed corners where you're stuck in the wheel tracks of a driver in front is, of course, you've got dirty air going through there. You're going to be punishing those front tyres a little bit more. So the converse for Miyazono is that, of course, he has got the slipstream, which is great, but in the corners he's going to be really ruining those fronts.
Yes, I just hit the wall there on the exit and it's slowed him right down. Here comes Kawakami in the Lexus. The reigning champions up into third position here. It just shows you how easy it is to make a very small mistake. You touch that wall, you lose so much speed there, but of course the closer you get to it, the wider the corner is, the more speed you can carry. That is pretty much the gambit of the racing driver. Here is Kawakami, and now he's in a defensive position going down to this hairpin at the bottom. Sato looking to the inside, looking to retake that P3. He's there, he's alongside, already back up into third place goes Sato, so he has no interest in staying behind Team Lexus. But of course, these guys doing that, they're going to be squabbling a little bit. That's going to give more of a space in front to Suzuki and Miyazono. They're going to love that. They're going to look in their rearview mirror and going, cool, great, keep fighting, boys, keep going, we'll just put away in front.
Changing positions further down as well. Okamoto and Goto have just exchanged 8th position to the advantage of the Nissan driver. So they're up then into P8. Let's see whether they can make any further forward progress. Interestingly, the top shop runners have pulled out a gap of about 2 seconds, so they're now out of that slipstreaming range here in this part of the race, which is great news there for them. But what about Ryota Kokkoman here in the Mazda? He's going to pull alongside the Lexus, coming down the straight in towards the big braking zone. So it's now Mazda versus Lexus, and it's Mazda with the advantage with the inside line, and Toyota and Morimoto are going to try and join the party. There's a bit of hip and shoulder, a bit of contact into the hairpin. That's going to send Sasaki wide and drop them down about 3 or 4 places as a result of that as well. So it's now starting to get a bit fast and a bit frantic with these medium shop runners, as we still sit side by side now here between Morimoto and Kokkoman for 4th place.
Kawakami there in that Lexus. Now, it will get a little bit rowdy now, Tom, as you say. There is running really one line through these corners here due to the cambers on the circuit. So as soon as you start going 2 by 2, you just end up having usually identical contact. We're on board now with Hiroshi Okimoto for Nissan. Great seat here of the fight ahead of us. Lamborghini in front in P7, almost pushing that thing along in our glorious turbo brick as we go down to T1 one more time. Really fast left-handers when you want to use all the roads here. Watch out for that barrier on the right hand side. I think maybe a little bit of contact with the wall there from Morimoto, but still able to hold the position for now. It's come down to the hairpin for the 3rd time.
So Kokkoman then in the wheel tracks here of the Toyota. In the background there, you've got Mazda looking like they're trying to put a bit of pressure, but also behind as well, you've got Goto versus Okamoto, part 3. Now Okamoto gets the better of the Lamborghini driver through into that hairpin once more. The gap at the front still continues to build. They're just running their own race here at the moment and have pulled out an advantage of about 2.5 seconds or so over Sato on the medium compound of tyres. Let's have another look at what happened then down into the hairpin bend. This is what cost AMG some track position. They're going to get biffed here, I think, by Okamoto first of all, and Goto there was on his inside as well, so that just lost them 2 places and possibly a 3rd, just able to get the better of them on the exit of the corner.
Guys watching the Spanish Grand Prix run. The move, strong move, but to meanwhile front of the grid, Miyazono had actually pulled back on to the rear spoiler of Suzuki in front, so there is pace there in that BRZ. I was giving a great feel at the start of the show, but actually looking pretty quick, and he's just doing what he needs to do, just holding on to that slipstream, just sitting there, and what sort of trivia is that? This is a song, Philosophy by Alexandros, right?
I've never heard of the song, so I can't really pass comment on it, to be honest.
Go check out.
If it works for him, it's a Japanese pop song, as we understand it. So if it works for him, great news, because he's sitting in 2nd place at the moment, and he seems like he's in the groove at the moment. Go and have a listen to that after the race, obviously, and let us know what your thoughts are. Meanwhile, Kawakami here defends from Morimoto across the start-finish line. We go. Morimoto with the inside line and track position. Kawakami possibly about to come under threat here from Kokkoman as well, but 4th place does change hands to the advantage of the Toyota. Morimoto is now in front, and they're starting to fall off the coattails of Sato in the Porsche here as well. They're about a second or so away, so they need to be careful about how they start battling here.
Speaking of battling, Kawakami is very keen to get that 4th place. Here comes Kokkoman as well in the Mazda that can almost push that Lexus through the gap. So, well, if you're not going to go for it, I will, but they all stay one at a time for now. And of course, not much you can really do outside of the slipstream round here. It's a one at a time circuit. There are a couple of places to overtake, but right now it is just following the leader. And With 4 laps in, the soft tyres seemingly still have the pace advantage over the medium, but that will switch as the race goes on. So right now, if it's Suzuki and your Miyazono in front, you're trying to build that gap. You're trying to make the gap as big as possible, so to prepare for that inevitable tyre fall-off. The medium runners, though, we think they can go upwards of 13 laps before switching to that soft tyre. So it's about making this tyre last, but also by keep pressuring those soft runners, because that tyre will run out quickly.
Well, you wonder what the soft tyre runners are going to do with Suzuki and Miyazono. Are they going to go for that two-soft strategy here in this race? As Cockburn looks to the inside of Kawakami, here's Morimoto there as well. There's more contact behind with Kawakami, then subsequently getting into the back of Cockburn. That's allowed the door to be open for Okamoto in the Nissan, who now drags alongside the Lexus, and ready to join into the party is Yasuki Goto in the Lamborghini coming through into the right-hander here as well. So it all got a bit frantic there for just a few moments. The upshot is that it's cost Lexus positions here.
Look how tight this race is. You've got P4 all the way down to, well, last, and then just separated by about 2 seconds, all of them there on a similar piece of tarmac. Kawakami has lost a few places now, down 2 places from his qualifying place, but conversely behind him, Okamoto up 3 in the Nissan. He's the biggest mover so far, so watch out for him. He is on a charge.
So, under investigation then is Cockburn versus Morimoto. We saw that collision a few moments ago. Let's see what the stewards decide on that one. Meanwhile, you've got the Porsche there, just sitting in 3rd position. The gap has stabilised at about a second or so between themselves and Morimoto in the Toyota. Meanwhile, you've got Cockburn versus Kawakami, who's on the outside there. You've got to be so careful with this one, though, because they are so close on circuit. You open the doors to take a wider line, and then that possibly means that someone can walk through it from behind, and it compromises your entire run down the next straight.
Yeah, it's, you have to be careful here. So, interestingly, look at the tyre wear there on those front tyres of Suzuki compared to Miyazono. You could have picked maybe that Miyazono would be worse given he's sitting in that dirty air, but I think that car is just a bit lighter, and the weight of the BMW really showing there on those front tyres. So that could be the difference. Going up and down the field, though, I think the best of the tyres so far is Kawakami in 6th place, but doesn't mean much if you're stuck there.
They're going to try and make the progression through, maybe just playing the longer game here in this one and waiting for the right time to strike. Cockburn goes to the defensive line into the hairpin bend. It all bottlenecks up, and Okamoto once again gets into the back of Kawakami, and a bit of hip and shoulder there from Kamada in the McLaren as well. Someone is going to be more disappointed than the Roosters and their tonsils out after this race. I'm fairly sure of it, because they are so close to one another out on this circuit that you can just sense the fact that it is starting to bubble up. We're only on lap 5 as again the McLaren of Kamada looks at the inside of Hashima there.
It's not really a move there to be made, just sort of sticking there and their nose alongside the rear wheel. You're never going to get through there, just of course a little bit of contact, but yeah, really getting a little bit desperate now, because if you're stuck at the back of the straight, there's not really much you can do apart from try and push the guy in front of you on a little bit. Now, you might be wondering, well, why aren't these guys bump drafting? They'll definitely catch up if they did that. That is actually against the rules here in these GT live events here. You get one point for bump drafting, and then you get a big back penalty, so that's why those guys are not pushing each other along.
Yeah, they're just taking it fairly easy at the sharp end of this race. We get into lap 6 now, which is when we're expecting the soft tyres to start going off. Don't forget as well, in the viewers campaign, if you watch directly on Gran Turismo 7, you can receive a gift card for every show that is watched. Jun Hashima looks to the inside of Goto for 8th place rather in this one, and gets the move done in the Ferrari, so now moves up into 8th position. Meanwhile, there are your top 2, Suzuki in the BMW and Miyazono in the Subaru. Interestingly, Suzuki's front tyres are a fair bit more worn than Miyazono's.
Yeah, about another half a lap or so's worth of wear there on Suzuki's side, maybe a lap on Miyazono, but the rear tyres not quite as balanced. But what that says to me is that Miyazono, if he can keep this up, might get one more lap out of those soft tyres. And those soft tyres, they do tend to be pretty quick right until the end of their life, so that could be the difference here. But the gap now between Miyazono and Sato, and we're getting up to about 4 seconds now, 4.4 in the last time of checking there, so they are doing the job here, making that gap, but I don't think it could be bigger. I don't think that's exactly, they haven't made the most of the guys.
Morimoto here looking against Sato as well. The gap was up to a second about 3 or 4 laps or so ago. It has now come right down, and Morimoto is bringing a train of cars along with him, which might leave Sato under a bit of pressure here. And will that mean that they're able to find their way through and present an opportunity for that final podium place? It's only the early stages of the race. There's no point getting too excited about things at the moment. Still plenty of time for the complexion of this one to change. But we're coming on the start-finish straight. Sato keeping the car very firmly on the left-hand side of the circuit. And they're going to go for a defensive line down to the T1. They move over to the normal racing line. But you can see the closing speed there with this Toyota, and subsequently how much quicker they're able to go through into turn one. They have to back right off of the pace, even though they've got more of an advantage, a bit more grip underneath them, courtesy of some fresher tyres here as well. And you sense that it's starting to bubble up here for this podium place, and Sato knows that, goes for the defensive line. Morimoto goes for the outside into the hairpin. Can they invent something into the braking zone? Morimoto on the outside, and now through into third.
It's that Toyota now starting to come strong in the second part of the race, maybe just a little bit better on those worn tyres than the cars around it. Again, reminder of our tyre strategies there. We think that these soft tyres, this is going to be their last lap, and I'm thinking about it. I think Miyazono can definitely do one more. I'm not sure about Suzuki though. The gap has come down slightly now between P2 and P3, so those medium tyres are starting to be quicker than the softs. Now, the question is, has Miyazono, has Suzuki, have they noticed that? Are they going to box us out? So the pit lane is just in his hairpin here. Suzuki leading the soft runners down towards there. Miyazono in P2, who ride on one with now. Do they peel to the left-hand side of the circuit? They do. Both of them into the pit lane there, switching over to that medium compounder tyre. They've decided they can't do any more, and Suzuki and Miyazono both pit together.
What they now need is a nice bit of clear air to run along with each other in this race. Pit loss time about 11 seconds or so, plus the time that you are stopped for, which, as you can see, is fairly minimal. Where are they going to emerge back into this race, and how much is the distance in terms of seconds going to be between Sasaki and Suzuki? Meanwhile, the sharp end of this one, now the battle for the effective race lead is starting to get a bit scrappy. Sato has gotten back in front of Toyota. Meanwhile, Suzuki and Miyazono, they've got about 6 seconds or so to Sasaki. That's a good buffer for them. They can just run their own race, carry on doing their own strategy, and not worry about being caught up in other people's dramas.
Well, this is the important part of the race now with Suzuki and Miyazono. You need to really push now and make the most of that clear air in front, as Tom says. So Sato, conversely, in the same sort of position. These next few laps, they need to make sure they are not fighting so much and just trying to get that lap time in, because the guy directly behind is not the threat for the win. It is the two cars in the 12th place.
And the converse to that, of course, is that could also happen to the likes of Morimoto, Sato, Cockman, etc. They're obviously on a different strategy on the medium tyres. In theory, they'll be quicker at the end of the race if indeed they do go on to soft tyres, which is what we're expecting them to do. So, but the problem is, if they start fighting amongst one another, start squabbling, that's going to cost them time, and if it costs them a second, half a second or so, that could be the difference between challenging for the victory and battling for the lowly podium places.
Well, we're going to find out in about 5 laps' time when these guys come in and bolt on and settle those soft tyres. So it does seem that the strategy is that one stop, and it is make the medium to go as long as possible and then get on those soft tyres. So a reminder, the points are awarded here for top 6 cars, of course. 6 down to 1, first to 6th position. Now we're going, of course, towards the final all the way in Fukuoka at the end of the year. So 4 points early, puts in a good place for the rest of the year.
So on board here then with Shima in the Ferrari. We know that car's pretty handy. We've seen good pace from it over the course of last season with Medina, who took the victory in World Series 2, back in Series 2 back in Prague. Meanwhile, let's have a look at some dramas then here between Miyazono and Suzuki. So this is coming down into the hairpin after the first corner. And you see Miyazono getting the inside line, getting traction there against Suzuki. The positions, though, yeah, they still sit differently there. So Miyazono is now back in front.
Interesting, that's Miyazono basically making a move for the lead on this race. He's decided he doesn't want to sit behind Suzuki, he wants to push hard on this medium compounder tyre. He's going to make a gap of about half a second there, so maybe we're going to now see the real pace of Miyazono in that Subaru.
Well, what was the good thing about Miyazono's car in that first strategy? The tyres. It went, 4 or 5% higher than Suzuki's. And he was in dirty air over the course of that first stint, so maybe he now wants to run in clear air, save those tyres even more, and maybe the fact that car is being pretty kind to the rubber that's on the bottom of it will prove to be a benefit for them later on in the race. Meanwhile, we look at the battle for the race leaders it sits for now. Morimoto Morimoto still defends. Sato's looking for the inside line. Cockburt's getting involved as well as Kawakami. Kawakami's on the inside then for third position against Cockburn. Sato there looking to pick the pocket of the Toyota as well, but nothing doing. So Kawakami was the only beneficiary despite a lot of action kicking off into there.
No, it's interesting. Behind this, it's only a 4.5-second gap until we have Miyazono and Suzuki. They're not too far behind this little train, so really showing the pace of that new medium tyre compared to the old right now as Morimoto leads into Sato from Kawakami. The snake of cars echoing through the tunnel here in the Tokyo Expressway, coming down to the hairpin one last time. 9 laps down, 20 to go. Morimoto really trying to defend into this hairpin. They wanted to let Sato happen. These guys need to maybe start working a bit more intelligently together if they want any hope of taking the win here today. Kawakami, big lunge around the outside. Is he going into the pits?
Yeah, he can't overshoot it that much.
What a move if he's making that work.
Yeah, straight to the pits there for Kawakami. Now, interestingly, where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Medium tyres, about a second or so slower, and he's gone for another medium set of tyres. So he's going for the medium strategy then, presumably for the end of this. I'm hoping that the longevity of that compound of tyre will prove to pay dividends later on in the race. And what's the thing you need in pit lane? After pit lane, you need clear air. So he needs to come out without any dramas. No traffic behind him is the crucial thing there for Kanata Kawakami. As he emerges back into this race, he's about 5 seconds or so off the back of Suzuki. Again, works out quite nicely for them here, and he'll have decent enough rubber to the end of this one.
Just have to wonder if that's the play on. Like, it's a tricky one because we know how fast that soft tyre is. But we're seeing the tyre life here on our screens, and a lot of the guys are struggling. And if they want to make that soft tyre work, which is about 7 laps maximum lap, Sato, for example, who has pretty much no rear tyres left compared to the guys around him, needs to make those tyres last another 3 laps.
Well, just to give you an idea of the difference in pace between worn mediums and new mediums. New mediums for Miyazono and Suzuki, they're in the sort of mid-1 minute 57s. The drivers that are all on the medium tyres that haven't pitted yet, the sharp end of this race that you're looking at, they're all sort of in the early to mid 1 minute 58. So they're about 8 to 9 tenths of a second slower at this point.
Maybe Kawakami saw this. He thought, okay, right, I can see that I'm stuck in this train. I can't do anything else. If I pit for softs with everybody else, I'm going to still be stuck in this train. I might as well try something different. And he ended up boxing those medium tyres, and we'll just keep an eye on that because we'll see if anyone else blinks. Now will be the time to do it at the end of this lap, coming again with that medium set. Will Kawakami get an undercut? We will see. Morimoto still leading this train of the non-stoppers so far in Team Toyota. That car still strong here in 2025.
Sato's the one you need to worry about because he's got lower tyres compared to everybody else around him. Cockburn, incidentally, in the Mazda, looking pretty handy there with 45%. Now Sato's into the pits in the Porsche at the end of lap 10 then. So how is this going to work out? What's the gap going to be relative to Kanata Kawakami? Sasaki and Sugimura also following him into the pit lane there as well.
Look at the gap. There's Miyazono, there's Kawakami, and they just run off into the lead. Massive lead for those guys. They have played the right thing for now. Kawakami there just about getting by Sato, so he pitted 1 lap earlier. Tyres are fired up, already up to temperature, and by Sato he goes. So maybe that was the right call there for Kawakami.
Well, the undercuts work. The problem is now that he, of course, has worn his tyres a little bit more because he's done 1 more lap. So will they come to bite him in the backside in the closing stage of the race? He's, enjoying the fruits of his labour as it sits for now, but let's see what it looks like in 8.5 laps time. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this one, the top 6 drivers have not yet pitted. That's Toyota with Morimoto, Cockburn with Mazda, Okamoto with Nissan, Hashima with Ferrari, Goto with the Lamborghini, Kamada with the McLaren, and Miyazono, of course, is the first of the drivers that has now pitted. So 6 drivers yet to box. Will they come in at the end of this lap? Let's wait and see.
As these guys still squabbling, although they have calmed down somewhat now. I think they understand that they do need to just push and try and lose as little time as possible. Let's look at the background. You see there in the background Kawakami and Sato, but here is Suzuki and Miyazono, both looking very quick right now, and importantly, only 4.8 seconds now behind Kamada in the McLaren, who's yet to stop. So these guys are going to jump everyone when they box, but they are going to be on that older tyre at the end. But track position is important around here.
That's the problem, isn't it? You've got to find that balance between using track position and also wearing your tyres out. They've got a 5-second buffer over Kawakami, which is great for them right now, but is it going to leave them vulnerable at the end of the race? Let's wait and see what happens, though, as we come down in towards the pit area. Does anybody dive into the pits? Morimoto there on the outside as Cockburn goes over to take the lead. We know that Mazda has been pretty kind on its tyres so far in this race, and they still sit side by side on the exit of the corner. So the RX Group 3 car then now moves ahead of the Toyota Gazoo Racing GT Concepts, and Mazda have hit the front for the first time in 2025 now.
Here they are. Was a bit of a veteran from these series. There you go. Starting playing G-Move, 3 years old. This is why he's so much better than I am.
3 years old, I was still trying to play the PlayStation, and my sister was putting the controller underneath so that I wasn't getting in the way of her playing the PlayStation.
Oh, giving you the unplugged controller.
Absolutely.
Classic.
That was it. I know.
I do that now. I do that if you still now.
You wait till Guy gets a bit older, mate. He's going to love that one. So Cockburn it is that leads at the start of lap 12. Then Morimoto in second. You can see these drivers have now started to pick up the pace. It's interesting, actually, because they were in the mid 1 minute 58 at once upon a time when they were squabbling amongst one another. They've now picked up the pace to sort of the low 1 minute 58, some even in the higher 157. Cockburn was a 57.6 last time around, which was pretty handy. Not quite as quick as we've seen from some of the medium shop runners who are on fresher tyres at this stage, but given the fact that they're 12 laps old, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can see, though, the gap between Kamada and Suzuki. Very, very close right now. As Paul Euro looking on at his teammate for Team Mazda. Of course, he will be in the car at one of our other events representing them in Berlin. Yes, he'll be in there for them. Just hoping that he gets off to a good start here this year for Team Mazda. So here are the tyres as they stand. Now these guys now, they're all going for the soft. There's no doubt about that. They're trying to make the 13 laps work on the medium compound tyre. Morimoto in the background looking to try and get back past Cockburn. Kind of working together there, giving each other the slingshot without bump drafting and just pulling themselves along a bit quicker from the rest of the group.
Now we're coming towards the end of what we thought was going to be a useful window, and indeed the top two are coming in at the end of lap 12 then, and they're also being followed in by another driver as well. So Gotto is into the box there. So now it's only 3 drivers that are yet to pit in this race. So a lap earlier than we're expecting the ultimate race distance to be, but it's interesting there. The drivers that started on the medium tyres now going onto the soft compound. So the real outlier here is Kawakami, who of course went medium in this race. Is that going to prove to be to his benefit later on when those soft tyres are, I imagine, going to be pretty clapped out?
Yes, I mean, well, I didn't notice that Suzuki did get back by Miyazano at some point, so yeah, 56.6 on the last lap. These guys are flying at the moment. You can see there are Suzuki and Miyazano in relation to those who have not stopped yet. So using that fresher medium tyre, they've been able to catch back up onto the pack in front of them. But now they're going to be in the converse position where their tyres are going to be a little bit worn and they're going to be chased down by the guys who are now on those soft tyres. Morimoto, Cockburn and Goto on there as well. They'll be joined very shortly, I'm sure, by Okamoto, Hashima and Kamada.
Well, you get the sense that this race is just going to start bubbling up towards the end of this one. Let's have a look at how Suzuki got back in front of Miyazano through these fast left-handers, and that was a beautiful bit of slipstreaming there in the BMW. Switched to the inside line, got through, and is now ahead of the Subaru for what we effectively think is going to be the race lead. You can see they've ascended up to 4th position, and they are lurking there in the background from the top 3, who of course are still owing that one final pit stop in this race.
So here we are into the tunnel again. Now I have no doubt we're going to see the top 3 now peel into the pit lane left-hand side on the way into the hairpin here. That will release, of course, Suzuki and Miyazano back up into 1st and 2nd place. But can they stay there? Sato behind there on a fresher medium compound tyre. Kawakami as well, the same strategy. Then behind them, it's the soft runners. They're going to be very, very fast into the race. Do they have enough time to chase down the leaders? Well, stay tuned and find out.
So into the box come the top 3 then. So all pit stops now beginning to work out. Keep an eye out though for Cockburn, Morimoto and Gotto. They're on the soft tyres. We reckon they could go about 8 or 9 laps or so in this one. So are they going to be able to be a threat and close down on the medium shop runners in the end of this race? They're only about 2 seconds off the back of the likes of Sato and Kawakami, who've gone medium in terms of the tyre strategy, so they might be able to challenge for the podium. The overall race window is a further 5 seconds up the road from that one, so I think it's going to be a bit of a tall order. But if these two start squabbling and indeed maybe they come to blows, then the door is wide open.
Yeah, I mean, Kawakami's tyres aren't even that much pressure. I mean, minutes, a couple of laps of Miyazono and Suzuki, so I think that might not have been the play there for Team Lexus. I mean, we'll see how it goes. We've still got a few laps left in this one, but the strategy's yet to unfold. So here's Kotono with Morimoto. These guys just not for those soft tyres, so they're going to be fast now. I think really, realistically for their minimum lap time, 56s. They need to be in those 56s. Any hope now of catching the cars in front, which means working together and not trying to lunge each other at every corner. But if you're going to right now in Lamborghini and you think, oh, maybe I'm a bit quicker, how do you resist that?
So Kenta Morimoto then behind the wheel of the Toyota, coming under pressure here from the Lamborghini into the hairpin we go. It's an interesting corner that, because it's sort of two corners in one. Effectively, you've got to really time your line quite nicely, because it's a fast jink to the left following this one. You sort of have to get out of the throttle and then back on it. Lining astern are these top three, well, I'd say top three in this sort of soft shod battle at the moment. And are they going to start working together? Because the problem is, if they start squabbling and then destroying their tyres amongst one another, then that's going to compromise their race, possibly cost them an opportunity of the podium, maybe even the overall victory, depending on how this one plays out.
Still need to wait and see how that's going to happen. We're watching Kokuben here. 55.9 was his last lap, so that is the fastest lap of the race. Kokuben and Team Mazda are on a charge now. In front is Sato, who opted for the double medium strategy. He is going to be nowhere. Kawakami there as well, and they're already being caught by the soft runners. So I think the double medium strategy, Tom, was not the way to go, and we're now seeing that in action as Kokuben leading two other soft runners right up to the back of third and fourth place.
Well, unless those tyres fall off a cliff at the end of this race, the soft shot runners of Kokuben, Morimoto, Goto, etc., then you would imagine, like I said, that they are not going to be able to keep hold of that podium. On board we're riding with Kokuben in P5.
What's important now, though, for Kokuben is to get by these guys as quick as possible. He cannot afford to be stuck here. On board then with the Mazda RS Vision GT concept stealth model, longest name I think in GT7 there, that glorious rotary engine. As we come from this left hand, you can see how much quicker those soft tyres are. Now Kokuben is just about going to be getting the faintest sniff now on a slipstream. That will make him a bit quicker down the straight. Will he get him close enough going for a move down to front? I don't think so, but I think it's only a matter of time before we see Kokuben making the move from Kawakami and Sato.
Yeah, what Kokuben would really benefit from here, as well as Morimoto and Goto behind, is those two in front to start squabbling amongst one another. You can see Sato a little bit wide going through that hairpin there as he eases onto the throttle here. Does Kokuben sort of takes a couple of stabs at it as he tries to get optimum traction on the exit of this one, and as you said, he needs to get his way past Morimoto and Goto likewise there as well. So if you're Kawakami and if you're Sato, it's sort of squeaky bum time really here at the moment, because you know that you're going to be coming under pressure. The sharp end of this race, what Kokuben would really benefit from is if Suzuki and Miyazono start getting involved in their own squabble here as we look back for this battle for third place.
This is going to be decisive here for Kokuben. We go for a move down to the hairpin. He needs to. He's got the toe. He's got Morimoto and Goto behind him as well, all looking to try and make the move. Sato goes defensive to the inside. It's now too wide. Where will Kokuben go? Nowhere to go there. So Sato blocking the inside there. Kawakami also the outside. Kokuben pushing his way through there up into P4, but Kawakami now really a bit of a sick duck here, Tom.
Yeah, Bottle next up there as well. Goto trying to get involved in the act as well. He's just trying to show a wheel on the inside as well as Morimoto. So through to the right hand and we go. Kokuben on the inside, Kawakami on the outside. Soft versus medium. Soft is going to reign supreme then here, and it's Kawakami going to lose maybe another position, possibly to Goto, and indeed then also to Morimoto as well. So 3 places lost in the space of as many corners. Next target for Kokuben, Goto and Morimoto is going to be Sato in the Porsche. Across the timing line we go, down into T1. The Porsche driver of Sato knows that, takes a defensive line through there, and now we know that the soft tyre has got a greater amount of grip underneath, and surely it's going to be into the hairpin bend where they're going to think about a lunge.
Yeah, it's nothing you can do there. The idea is just try and get a good setup now down to the hairpin, use the toe, and Sato, I mean, valiantly defended, but you can't help but think it's all going to be for nothing as we now go down towards the hairpin. Kokuben looking to the outside of Sato, goes defensive in the Porsche. Will he be able to outbrake the Mazda on the outside? He tries to. He's still alongside the Porsche, fighting for dear life at P3. Keeps the pace for now, but on the inside there, who is that?
That's Goto. That's Goto on the inside with a massive send. The door was sort of half open there, and now it's Sato versus Goto, side by side on the exit of the corner. This is getting fast and frantic. Goto with the inside line against Sato, again soft versus medium. Now it's the Lamborghini driver that's up through and into the podium places. Sato almost faces the wall on the outside. Morimoto picks his pocket in the Toyota, and now also Kokuben ready to join in on the the action.
Yeah, great defensive effort there from Sato, but short-lived, cannot defend against that medium tires. Contact in the tunnel. Is there going to be a crash? No, Gotcho in the wall there, slows him right down. Kokeman back up into P4 now, leading this train. Sorry, Morimoto in the Toyota there is now as well. These guys all fighting furiously for that last podium place. Sato in the wall, he's round. Sato there in the wall, and there goes Porsche's effort for any position here in round one of the grand final.
Well, we said it was going to bubble up, and so it proved to be exactly what we didn't want to see happening in the Gran Turismo World Series. And unfortunately there was a lot of fast and frantic action going on in the space of a handful of corners, and unfortunately that many drivers into that position just doesn't go. The upshot is it is Porsche and Sato that have been the big losers in that one, and they are now going to be going home pointless. Points only down to 6th place here, just to remind you. The upshot is, whilst this battle's been going on here, Jimmy, it's allowed that nice bit of clear air for Suzuki in the BMW, Miyazono in the Subaru, to just have enough of a buffer to not worry about what's going on behind.
Just take a peek at what happened there. Throw more Kawakami, started going to the inside, a lot of moving there from a lot of people. So a little bit of contact to the back. Oh, Kawakami there caused that. Yeah, I don't think it was on purpose at all, but unfortunately it doesn't really matter. He's the one that caused that contact there, so I do think we're probably going to see a penalty for Kawakami at some point. Meanwhile, they're still fighting, Tom. They're still fighting for that third place. I think they all know now they can't catch Suzuki and Miyazono, so you might as well just have this last position. But of course, the investigation, the result of that might change this race entirely.
Yeah, Kawakami not giving this one up. He's on the medium tyres, but his tyre wear relative to those around him pretty similar on the soft tyres, and of course we know that medium is slower over the course of a lap, so this is some great driving from Kawakami in terms of the lap time and keeping hold of track position. But of course we know that incident between himself and Sato is now under investigation. Meanwhile, the sharp end of this race, we've not mentioned it too much over the last few laps, they're still only 0.3 of a second away from one another, and this is going to start to get pretty frisky, isn't it, at the sharp end of this one?
You get the impression maybe Miyazono is waiting, and Kanata Kawakami, as we expected, given a 3-second penalty there for his part in the incident with Team Porsche and Sato. I mean, again, not intentional, but just because you don't mean something doesn't mean it isn't your fault. And unfortunately for Kawakami, that 3-second penalty is going to take him way outside the points there. As you can see, points awarded first, down to 6th position. What I can tell you now is Kawakami won't be having any of those.
No, that is a big shame there for Team Lexus, and not the way they're wanting to kick off their title defence in the Manufacturers' Cup. So now, what does it look like for the final podium place as well? Morimoto still right on the coattails of Ryosuke Kokeman in the Mazda at the moment. We're right on board with Yusuke Goto, who was up as high as third a few moments ago, but has sort of lost out really, as it were. Now he's got a face full of Lexus as we come across the timing line, and there is the penalty being served for Kawakami, who drops back down to, 9th position now, so that's really proven to be quite detrimental to the reigning Manufacturers' Cup champions here.
That feeling just sucks as well. When you get to the line, you have to slow down for 3 seconds, then get back up to speed. So 3 seconds is more like 5 or 6. You really get hammered for that. So yeah, unfortunate for them, but of course the fight still rages on at the front of the field for P3. It's Mazda versus Toyota. These guys have been rivals in the Manufacturers' Cup for about as long as I can remember it, and still going on here. Goto in the background in that Lamborghini. It's a good run for Lamborghini, to be fair. But we haven't seen Lambo in the sharp end of one of these events for quite some time. So seeing them P5 there challenging what could possibly be for a podium is really impressive there for the Italian brand.
Yeah, I wonder if the balance of performance update for this season has just helped them a little bit in terms of closing that deficit down, because as you say, we haven't seen Lamborghini up the sharp end of the field for, as you say, a fair amount of time. So we'll see how it goes over the course of the remaining World Series events in 2025. Meanwhile, we look here at Kokeman with Morimoto again still very close behind. 2.5 laps now to go. We go from day into night and into the daylight indeed here as well, as Kokeman again takes a defensive line. Morimoto goes for the outside line, the sharp end of the field. The lead of the race is changing hands here between Miyazono and Suzuki as well. Now it's the Subaru driver that's just gotten in front from what we can see on our timing screens, as third place is now occupied by the Mazda. We need to look at the battle though for the race lead, because it's all well and good looking at this battle for the final podium places, but the two of Miyazono and Zaya Suzuki are getting pretty frantic here then. We thought this was going to start to kick off, and lap 18 is where the battle begins.
Yeah, I was watching the live timing, Tom. I thought Miyazono got Suzuki just just down into the hairpin there, and Suzuki, using the power of the BMW, was able to pull back through. But now Miyazono making his move. 2 laps to go here then at the grand final, round 1 here at London for the Manufacturers' Cup. It's Team Subaru leading Team BMW at the moment. Meanwhile, the fight's still going on for 3rd, 4th and 5th, and here is that move for the lead here. So Miyazono there using the toe up the inside in the Subaru. Very nice and tidy through there, just about making that move second. And I think he lost the drag race up here a little bit, but had the right line into the rest of the course and managed to maintain first position.
Yeah, it worked quite nicely there for Takuma Miyazono. Sort of lunged his way to the inside. The door was kind of half open, but he decided to open it fully, going through into that corner and force Suzuki for a wider line to compromise his compatriot's exit going through there. And now we look at the sharp end as the headlights glimmer in the night time here at the Tokyo Expressway. It's Subaru versus BMW for the race victory then here. 0.3 of a second in it. A lap and a half left to remain for this one. It's too close to call. You have to say the BMW fast through the straight line, but the Subaru definitely quicker in the twisty bits.
You've got to think about it here. The high speed game of chess. Suzuki there shows his hand. Up into first place goes Team BMW. Is that where Miyazono wants to be though? Because on the next lap, the final lap, he'll have the toe down to the hairpin. But Suzuki is not thinking about that right now. Miyazono looking to the inside. Will he ever go here? Yeah, showing his nose there, going for a very late move on Suzuki. They're just trying to unsettle him on exit now as the sun goes down. We go in tonight, and Miyazono now starting to move around on that medium compound of tyres. So that medium compound starting to get now to the end of its useful life, but these guys still pushing onwards. 3-second gap behind the Morimoto in the Toyota as we come onto the last lap here at Tokyo.
So winner takes all stakes, and of course points available for the top 6 drivers here in this one as well. Who is going to be taking the maximum crown though? And Suzuki was just into the wall on the outside there as we head across the timing line to begin the final lap. It's BMW versus Subaru. It's Suzuki versus Miyazono as we head down into turn 1 for the final time.
Here we go then, a little bit of contact there. Suzuki on the way through, have to be millimetrically perfect through here to get the best line. And Miyazono now in a great position for a move down into the bottom of the course. But do you go for that if you're Miyazono? Do you just wait and be patient and take the move into the hairpin? Let's wait and see. Miyazono deep in the slipstream, goes to the outside then, coming down to this first hairpin. Going to get squeezed out, I think, by Suzuki. Looks to try and go back inside, but as Suzuki might have outbraked himself here, will Miyazono get the cut back? Not quite for now.
Suzuki's got that line covered there quite nicely, hasn't he? It's going to be all about the traction, the exit out of this corner and the run through into the next series of them then. So we ride on board with Takuma Miyazono battling for the victory and trying to get maximum points for Subaru to try and take that crown back in the Manufacturers' Cup in 2025. And now we know that Miyazono pretty handy in the slipstream and diving his way to the inside. He's going to have to think about this one quite carefully then here. Use that strength of the Subaru in the last stages of this race.
Here we are then in the toe. Miyazono quite far back though. It's going to be quite a big lunge there for Takuma. So Suzuki in front. Miyazono on board looking to try and displace them. Coming down to the hairpin now, deep in the toe. 272 kilometres an hour. Suzuki goes defensive. Miyazono goes all the way to the outside. Can he try and get a putt? He does! Plays him like a fiddle. Up into first place goes Takuma Miyazono. Masterful move there from the multiple champion. Up into the lead he goes with only a few corners to go.
There is no adage for experience in the Gran Turismo World Series, and so it proves to be for Takuma Miyazono. Sasaki and Kawakami are under investigation in the closing stages of this race, but that was absolutely brilliant from Takuma Miyazono. Just a handful of corners now remaining. Can Suzuki invent something? I think he's a bit too far away unless you can think about a lunge to the inside, but it is then going to be maximum points in Gran Turismo World Series 1 here in London for Team Subaru and for Takuma Miyazono, who win the grand final. What a fantastic end to that race. Suzuki and BMW come over the line in second. It's Kokkoman for Mazda on the podium in third place. Morimoto for Toyota, Okamoto for Nissan, and then Kamada for McLaren at the end of that one. Complete.